What's up, everybody? Blessed be. My name is Mannun, and you are watching Witch in the Working, where we will be discussing all things witchy in and around, throughout and about, above, below, and beyond. Please visit me as well on my other platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon, all linked down in the descriptions below. The full script of this video and most of the others is available on my Patreon account for download if desired to build your very own Witch in the Working Book of Shadows. Also, please visit my Shopify store listed in the description below to get your Witch in the Working shirts, mugs, stickers, bags, beanies, or what have you. There are many tools of the trade in Witchcraft and Wicca. Not everyone utilizes these tools, but I would venture to say that most witches do use at least one tool or another in their practice. One such tool many use in the craft has been stereotyped with witches for centuries, and this tool is the Besom, or the Witches Broom. Artwork through the centuries, all the way to movies and TV shows of the present time, have depicted the witch with their legendary broom in hand, or even better, straddled around it flying through the air. In this episode of Witch in the Working, we will be talking all about the Besom and even how to make your own. So sit back, relax, and get your creative juices flowing as we dive into this intriguing episode, and roll the intro. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Camera's running, lights are on, background's up. I don't know. Anyway, well. Okay, so let's get on with it. Alright. Welcome back, everyone. As I mentioned in the intro, the Witch's Broom has been depicted throughout history alongside the witch as her main tool for both magic and, according to those who don't know any better, physical transportation. Artwork through the centuries will show this circumstance multiple times, just about as many times as it shows and depicts witches as working skyclad or naked amongst their coven. Some could even say, as the magic wand is to the magician, the broom is to the witch. Oh, and of course the black cat, familiar as well. But anyway, that's another video. Around the turn of the 20th century, with the introduction of movies and TV, Hollywood itself has embraced this scenario and ran with it in many films and TV shows with witches portrayed. The Wizard of Oz is probably one of the most famous stories that's come to mind, as we all remember the Wicked Witch of the West pressing forward and harassing young Dorothy and her adventurous team of uncanny beings. The witch always was guaranteed to have her trusty broom in hand, almost using it as a crutch of sorts, and of course to fly to and fro throughout the land of Oz to accomplish her biddings here and there and to harass the hell out of Dorothy. In the Disney animation Fantasia, we have yet another reference to the broom tied in with occult practice and magical happenings. Another movie from Disney, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, introduces a witch's broom in the mix. Disney has a lot of witchcraft in it. But anyway, also, some other popular Hollywood products that depict the witch and her broom are Hocus Pocus, Practical Magic, Bewitched, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and of course, the all-famous Harry Potter. And Harry Potter, they even go as far as creating an entire sport around flying on broomsticks called Quidditch. There are many more I'm not even including, but the bottom line is that the broom and the witch go together like peanut butter and jelly, and with good reason. This tool is very important in the craft, and in fact is one of the greatest tools a witch can possess as far as I'm concerned. We'll learn why shortly. The broom in general is a mystery as to where it exactly began, its debut into human civilization. We just know it has been a tool and remains a tool in its most basic form still today. There aren't many tools in existence that can claim that longevity. Brooms, centuries ago in some parts of the world, were actually called besoms. This is what we call the witch's broom today in the craft, a besom. At least most witchcraft groups and witches do anyways, certainly not all. Besoms throughout history pretty much went unchanged over the years, simply consisting of a tree branch and some sort of twigs or brush for a sweep attached to the staff-like handle. Many times this handle consisted of ash, hazel, or oak, and the brush end would be straw or some sort of grassy, brushy type substance attached with willow strips or twine of some sorts. binding it together. In the late 1700s, Benjamin Franklin discovered a new type of plant called broomcorn that he accidentally learned about through a gift given to him by a dear friend from abroad. A gentleman named Levi Dickinson from Massachusetts went on to plant this new discovery and utilize it for modern-day brooms. Ultimately, a Christian religious sect called the Shakers mobilized the next big jump to the modern-day broom by taking a broom and making it flat on the end edge, and utilizing wire instead of twine to fasten it to the wooden shaft. This latest move by the Shakers is where we get the modern-day broom that you personally maybe use today and keep in your catch-all closet. The Besom, or Besom, however you want to pronounce it, has amazing history and lore attached to it. I'm sure you all have heard of jumping the broomstick at a wedding or a handfesting. The ceremonial jumping of the broom served as an open declaration of settling down in a marriage relationship. This has been an event with many cultures throughout the ages. We as witches utilize the broom in a ritual for cleansing purposes, not physically, but magically. Again, we as witches call the witch's broom a besom. Many times this tool is used at the very start of ritual practice as a way to sweep out negative energies from an area that the magic circle will be cast to perform any and all ritualistic and magical acts. This is very important, as we do not want to proclaim an area sacred without first physically and magically ridding it all dirt, grime, and blackened energies that may be lingering around, for instance. In most all rituals performed around the world by cultures from every corner of the world, from the Amazon and African shamans to the European and American occultists that we all know today, and every circumstance and magical culture in between, will just about always start a ritual of any kind with a banishing first. This banishing of negativity precludes any other act as a way to set a foundation of purity and a clear space to begin building the proper atmosphere for whatever scenario is about to be celebrated, enacted, or worshipped. This isn't to say that all of these cultures use a besom to start a banishing before a ritual, just to say that there's some sort of banishing that is done before any ritual is performed. As a witch, in many circles, the first thing that is done is a person walks the circle round, sometimes diesel, clockwise, or sometimes Widdershins, counterclockwise, sweeping the circle from inside to out as they walk around it. The witch will usually walk once around or 3 times around. It's almost always once or thrice, as it's believed to keep magical circumstances utilizing odd numbers if it can be helped. Sometimes the witch will do this in silence and complete concentration, seeing in her mind negativity and nasty energies being swept from the area, creating the beginning of sacred space. Other witches will have a chant to speak as they perform this ritual banishing. Maybe something to the course of Besom, Besom, Wiccan's broom, sweep out darkness, sweep out doom, rid ye ladies hallowed ground of any negative thoughts around. Sweep ye circle, sweep it well, sweep it diesel, sweep out ill, make the round of the ground pure, where we do our lady's will. This particular chant is a chant we utilize while besoming at public rituals and demonstrations. Some besom lore that has come into play over the centuries can be very interesting as well. For instance, in parts of European cultures, pagan women would run through the fields and crops astride a besom, riding it much like a hobby horse, and they would jump as high as they could in the air in hopes to accomplish showing the crops they were growing how high to grow. This was in fact also an act of fertility magic, as the besom shaft is also a representation of the male phallus. Usually the woman would do this act skyclad, and if she was on her moon cycle, it was considered an added bonus, as now a sort of blood sacrifice was included, as well as the fertility magic being delivered throughout the growing crops. It is speculated that this running through the fields is one of the reasonings behind the common claim of witches flying through the air astride their besoms. Another theory to this is that the witches would lube up the end of the shaft of a besom with what would come to be known as a type of flying ointment, which was a type of hallucinogenic grease created from poisonous herbs, and then they would stick this up their rectums or vaginas and then sit beside a fire or hearth and travel to the Sabbath astrally when they couldn't make it physically. I tend to throw doubt on this method of cramming a tree branch up their butts, as this had to be quite uncomfortable, and if you had to stick an ointment into your anal or vaginal cavity, wouldn't it just be a lot easier to use a finger? I do, however, 100% believe that a hallucinogenic grease was used to basically trip and ease the astral projections process into fruition, but this ointment was applied to parts of the external body that absorbs, such as the armpit, wrists, or neck. The reason the witch would sit next to a fire was to begin to sweat out the drug as a form of control over themselves. Hence, they would be naked sitting next to a fireplace, and some old artwork shows witches flying on their besoms out of the hearth chimneys. It's even noted through ancient texts of witches mentioning that so-and-so attended the Sabbath, not in physical form, but as a kindred spirit, and to return to their body they had to but look at their feet or tap their heels together while saying a certain chant, and they would immediately return to their physical body miles away within seconds. Going back to the Wizard of Oz, with the clicking of the heels, remember that's how Dorothy got back, according to the wizard. Kind of weird how in throughout the centuries they've talked about that as well, and then it's in that movie. The Wizard of Oz actually has a lot of pagan overtones to it. When she's walking, there's even the directions, like the elementals, like the east, south, west, and north, can all be associated with the partners she takes, and with the scarecrow, the Tin Man, the lion, and the wizard himself. And there's actually a lot more involved with that movie that has extreme pagan overtones. One of these days I actually might do a video where I pick that movie apart and bring it all to fruition. But anyways, interesting little tidbit. While most witches' tools, for instance, the athame, chalice, cauldron, wand, censer, pentacle, etc., have in fact a specific gender energy attached to them, either male or female, the besom contains both male and female, and is the only tool in the witches' and magicians' arsenal that does. The shaft of the besom holds the phallic male energy, and the broom of the besom is actually feminine and represents the vagina, especially when it's held bristle side up, so it makes like a triangle. Which this can segue me into another very important tip about storing and displaying your besom. Always place your besom bristle side up, because it's thought to hold in the magic and good luck, but mundanely it preserves the bristles and shape of your besom as well. Some more interesting besom lore is to place a besom across a doorway threshold to speak with the dead. In order to summon rain, it's said you can take a besom and swing it clockwise or diesel over your head. In order to banish nightmares, hang a besom over your bed, a lot like you would a dream catcher, for instance. If you drop a broom, it's thought that visitors are on the way. It's bad luck to move an old broom into a new house. Always buy a new one and leave the old one behind. Some say it's unlucky to purchase a besom in August. The besom has always been associated with the home as well, more specifically the woman's power within the home. Some specific goddesses that work directly with the besom are Baba Yaga. She had a magical broom that she used to sweep the path behind her as she flew through the air in her enchanted mortar and pestle. Another is Holda, the Snow Queen. She flew on a magic broom at the head of a gathering of unchristened children and other dead souls in the wild hunt, all mounted on brooms. To mention a less commonly known goddess, I bring to you the Chinese goddess Sao Ching Nuang, who was actually known as the Lady of the Broom. It was believed that she could sweep in the clouds with her broom, and farmers would hang pictures of brooms on their fences when they wished for her help, either in bringing the rain or taking it away. Finally, another not so known goddess is Tetzalcoatl, the Aztec witch goddess. She was depicted flying or carrying a broom and was invoked to sweep away her followers' wrongdoings, and during rituals, her priests burned incense and put brooms across the sacred fires. Here's a very simple spell from an awesome book called The Witches Broom by Deborah Blake. The spell requires nothing more than a besom, some salt, discretion, and steely nerves. You must also be wearing clothes with at least one pocket. The catch is that the spell must be cast during what is hopefully this person's last visit. Discreetly fill your pockets with salt in anticipation of your visitor's departure. As he or she departs, walk alongside, just a discreet step behind, sprinkling the salt even more discreetly behind your unwanted guest. You want to sprinkle the salt gently between your fingers rather than tossing it or otherwise attracting attention to it. Walk with your guest, sprinkling all the way until you reach the boundary of your property. Say your farewells and watch your visitor leave. When you're absolutely sure this person is left, go get your besom. Now sweep the salt away, always sweeping in only one direction, the direction from your door out to the boundary. Simultaneously, murmur your target's name, willing him or her to never return. So how do you get your own besom? Well, as I've mentioned in many videos prior to this one, you can easily purchase a besom ready-made from a local occult store if you have one nearby. Amazon is yet another source that you can get a besom, as well as Etsy. If you do purchase a besom, I recommend you consecrate consecrate it once you bring it home. See my video here about how to consecrate an item. This video, I'll also link it down in the description below as well. Once you do consecrate it, I recommend that you maybe carve or wood burn some sacred symbols into it, maybe a saying or some runes, something. This in essence places your energy into the new besom, sharing this energy between yourself and your new tool, making it a part of you, and it brings your energies together. Another way to obtain a besom is to make your own. We're going to do that right now. The first thing you're going to need is the materials. A stick for a handle. This could be alder, apple, ash, birch, elder, elm, maple, oak, pine, rowan, walnut. This is up to you, and where you should do some research as to what energy you would like the besom to have in its handle. I'm going to use birch because birch represents purity, healing, banishing, purification, and light. I'll be using my besom ritually to sweep away negativity before I cast a circle, so birch is perfect for this. You'll also need some twine and something to create the brush end of the besom. I'm going to use hemlock sprigs from a hemlock tree, not the hemlock plant. When you go out to harvest the raw materials for your besom, a common magical practice is to ask the Fae to guide you to your quarry. Make sure you leave an offering to the tree you harvest from and thank the spirits of that tree in your own way. If you can find a handle that's already broken off, like I did, even better. I wouldn't consecrate the branches if you're harvesting these items yourself. If anything, just consecrate the twine you purchase from the store. Putting the besom together is a very simple process. Simply place the twigs of hemlock, for instance, around one end of the birch staff and twine it all together. In the end, don't be afraid to carve or burn runes or whatever special symbols you'd like in order to personalize your new besom. Also, besoms make great gifts for whatever occasion may be coming up and can be decorated elaborately to reflect the occasion. Handfestings or weddings, birthdays, change of life, initiations, housewarming, baby shower. Just decorate the besom to fit the occasion and voila, a great little handmade from the heart gift that any magical person or even non-magical person can appreciate. going to wrap up this episode of Witch in the Working. Do you own a Besom? Did you buy it or make it? What do you use it for? Let us all know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to ring that little bell to be reminded of wonderful and exciting future episodes to come. I love you guys and gals. Blessed be.